Hey everybody, Erica here from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. So first off, I wanted to thank everybody who came over the weekend, either here or to Substack, to take advantage of the free readings that I did. I always enjoy that. It's a little gift that I can give. They say people don't value things they don't pay for, but whatever. I enjoy doing it, and I know you all benefit from it. So over here on YouTube, I will do it again when I reach 38,000 subscribers. So hopefully that's incentive for you to hit the subscribe bell if you've not done that already, and to let people know about the channel. Over on Substack, I'm doing it for my paid subscribers. That's where I'll be doing the free readings. And you don't have to subscribe to my Substack to read what I write, but people who do have a paid subscription, that's one of the perks, is that I will probably be doing these free readings every week or every other week on a Sunday. And I'm going to vary the times over there that I do them so that people in Europe can also benefit. Um, so Monday is also the day that I let you know what my offerings are, because there are lots of new people. And so I will say that what I do here is I read Lenormand, however you want to say that word. It is a card divination system that uses 36 cards. And I look at politics and culture. That's what I tend to read on. Um, I think it's a beautiful system. I think it's a very direct system. I think it's a very kind system. And if you learned how to read, you can learn how to read Lenormand. So I wrote a book to make that case, and the book is called The Language of Lenormand, or however you want to pronounce it, The Language of, available wherever books are sold. I know this one comes in the Kindle edition, soft cover as you see, and also there's an audio version as well. If you would prefer to read it in French, we have the same book in French, Découvrez le langage secret du Lenormand. Discover the secret language of Lenormand. They changed the title a little bit for the French edition. Uh, I have a deck. This is the deck um, that I use. It is my deck. It's called Erica's Lenormand of Hope. You'll see some of the images on my wall are from the cards, and it's available through La Panthère, like the panther, lapantherestudio.com. And I also have a course that you can take at your own pace. So in other words, I uploaded a bunch of videos, and you can watch those videos and learn how to read. All of those, the information for all of those is under each of my videos. There are links to each of those things. Uh, what else? I'm probably going to put up a live course in the fall that will be conducted on Zoom, and that will be for a price. It'll probably be 2 hours per week for 5 weeks. And there'll be lots of opportunity for practice, lots of opportunity for you to ask me questions about your polls, lots of opportunity for you to practice with each other. So, look for details about that later. I think it'll probably start in October. Trying to think if there's anything. Oh, if you'd like a reading with me, I do half-hour readings and 60-minute readings as well. And if you shoot me an email, you can write to me at lenormandwitherica.com, or you can write to inthecompanyofcards.com, and just let me know the length of reading that you're looking for. Um, and we will try to find a time to get you on the schedule to get a reading. All right. That's the housekeeping. There are, how many things did I want to look at? There are four things that I thought I'd look at today. The first has to do with this Cyclospora outbreak, the one that makes you be in the bathroom for a long time and can last up to 2 weeks, apparently. and can look like it disappears and then come back. Well, we heard last week that it was attributed to iceberg lettuce. And there was a particular producer of that lettuce that was named as the culprit, and that was Taylor Farms. Well, since that news came out, Taylor Farms has said that the FDA has cleared it of any responsibility for this. Of course, what they neglect to tell you is that there was a recent $1 million contribution made to you know who's war chest by Taylor Farms. Uh, a former a former member of the administration was hired by Taylor Farms, and so there's a lot of speculation out there that um, why Taylor Farms is saying that they've been exonerated in this lettuce situation, that it's a little shady. Meanwhile, the FDA itself has said, no, we didn't say that you're not responsible. We said you could very well still be responsible. So there's fortunately, there's a difference of opinion between the FDA and whoever the other side is. When I say fortunately, I mean that it sounds like the FDA is not quite for sale yet or in the felon's pocket yet, to the degree that he wants everybody to be in his pocket. So I just want to look at um, Taylor Farms, uh, and I want to know, are they responsible for this outbreak? So I think what I'm going to use is the garden, because does one not cultivate a garden and grow things in a garden? So the garden is going to stand for Taylor Farms, and we want to know, are they responsible? Okay. All right. So remember, we're looking for the garden. That will stand for Taylor Farms. Don't eat bag salad. That's what they're telling us. Okay, so this is Taylor Farms. Hmm. So we have the ship, we have the moon, we have Taylor Farms, we have the scythe, and we have the tree. So I did pull clarifiers. I don't know if I'm even going to address them, but anyway. So here's the ship. Now, ship is like forward movement, right? And of course, Taylor Farms does not want to be, implicated as the cause of this Cyclospora thing. Um, they want to right the ship, and they want their reputation salvaged. This is a card for reputation. Here they are, Taylor Farms. Now, the fourth card is the scythe, which is to say that their reputation has taken a hit. We can mirror that, the moon, which is reputation, with the scythe. So their reputation has really been damaged. And uh, this is the card for health. What they've tried to do is to get themselves back on track as, selling a healthy product, namely produce, lettuce. Uh, but It's very interesting that these two are here because it means that they have taken that reputational hit. So here they are, Taylor Farms, and we have the ring, the tower, and the dog. I don't like this very much. On the face of it, these are fairly benign cards, but I don't like what they imply. So this is Taylor Farms, and this is sort of like a deal, right? Like a contract, a promise, a deal with the government, um, meaning, which is to say, we will be friendly to you if you are friendly to us. So if you agree to say that, oh, oops, we made a mistake, it wasn't Taylor Farms, we will be a friend to you by giving you this $1 million. So that direct line looks like there was some funny business going on. Uh, Fourth card again is the scythe. And when I was looking horizontally, remember, it implies that the Taylor Farms reputation has taken a hit. But now we're going vertically, so we're looking at it with different cards, right? So we have the scythe. Clarifiers are crossroads, man, and bear. Uh, you know, Here's the hit that they took, but they're trying to deflect it. Don't look over there, look over there. How are they trying to deflect it? By appealing to you know who, by giving $1 million to his campaign, allegedly. Allegedly. And for entertainment purposes only. The tree is the fifth card. The tree is the card for health. And the clarifiers are birds, woman, and anchor. I just think that in terms of health, there's already too much water under the bridge. There's too much talk already about Taylor Farms being the source of this. This is talk that they have been really essentially weakened. Um, and how interesting. We have the very first card that's what I can mirror with this anchor. I think their ship is going to sink. Between the allegations that it was their lettuce and then this bribery allegation, it's not a good look as far as the consumers are concerned for Taylor Farms. So, I think, and then as I said, you've got the FDA who have apparently not yet been cowed by the felon saying, excuse me, no, we never said that you were not implicated. We are still looking at you all as a potential source for this contamination. So I think they have done themselves no favors, and now they're out $1 million. Um, but when you play ball with the devil, bad things can happen. So I don't think they did themselves any favors. Okay, anyway, and again, avoid bagged salad. Just saying. That's what the CDC is saying, the FDA. Um, Now, we know, I think yesterday or Saturday, the Tate brothers, Andrew and his brother Tristan, were nabbed in Florida and nabbed by the US because there is a warrant for their arrest on multiple charges. These are some bad guys in the UK. They, of course, as you can imagine, do not want to be extradited to the UK. They're fighting extradition, and a judge has determined that then they will remain in jail in Florida, and it's not a nice one, until the extradition process has, run its course. So basically, what I want to know is apparently the decision as to whether to extradite them or not, meaning bind them over to the UK for trial, for prosecution. That apparently that decision on our side is up to solely Marco Rubio, which is interesting. Now, it's a double-edged sword, right? If they refuse to extradite them, inquiring minds are going to want to know, well, why? We know they're bad guys. Why would we not extradite them to England, to the UK? We also know that they are personal friends of a lot of the felon's personal friends, like his personal daughter and son-in-law, for example. We know that they all party together. So I can see why the felon might put a bug in Rubio's ear and say one or the other thing. In other words, they could say, yeah, let's not fight the extradition. Let's send them back to the UK and let the UK deal with them. Well, to do that, I mean, you would think that would be the right thing to do, right? But does that put the felon and company, felon and family in any kind of danger should the Tate brothers want to, for example, um, get a plea deal in return for compromise on the felon and his family? In which case, having allowed their extradition, that could speed that along and cause the felon problems. On the other hand, if let's say that they say, no, we're going to fight the extradition. We're not going to send them. If Marco Rubio says we're not going to send them back, well, then inquiring minds want to know why not? Why not? Like, why? Why would you defend these guys? So I guess I want to know, will the brothers be extradited by the US? Will they be extradited? I'm going to use the dog card and I'm going to use it to stand for both brothers simultaneously. Um, why the dog? Well, because the dog is the card for a sibling. So I don't, I'm not going to use any of my people cards for these guys. They're terrible. I mean, just Google who they are and you'll be like, oof. Um, they hate women, and their crimes have been legion, allegedly, against women. So we're going to use the dog, and I want to know if they're going to be extradited. Okay. Okay, so this stands for the Tate brothers. Mm. So we have the mountain, we have the book, we have the Tate brothers in the form of the dog, we have the house, and we have the birds. And I drew some clarifiers on the birds. Well, this is interesting. Um, you know, an extradition fight can take a long time. I mean, Marco Rubio, um, could announce tomorrow that we don't want them here. But it's the extradition will be delayed for who knows how long. I mean, it could take months, it could take years in an extradition fight. Uh, And the fact that we're not just putting them on a plane and sending them back is the same thing as not extraditing them, wouldn't you say? Uh, they're in the middle. Look, this is the White House. The White House doesn't know what to do. The book is about things you don't know. In other words, do we extradite them and look like heroes um, in the world press? But the danger of that is that they will turn on us. Or do we not extradite them and let the UK fight for them? And that way, the Tate brothers can't ever accuse us, meaning the Felons Administration, of doing them dirty. They really don't know which way to go with that. Um, and there's a lot of talk because of, again, the Tate Brothers Association with the felon and his family, allegedly. And so it looks like the advice is to just slow walk everything. Now, I drew clarifiers on the birds. Again, there's a lot of talk about this. Clarifiers are the bear, the scales, and the whip. So, um, you know, we know that the Justice Department is in his pocket, right? Todd Blanche and all that, those people. Um, but this is one of the cards for the felon, the narcissistic image of him. Uh, this is the legal system. And the whip, I mean, this is really torturing him. I can mirror the whip with the mountain. This is just one more thing on his plate to cause him just a world of problems. Because even his own followers are going to say, wait, you're not letting the UK extradite them? You're not letting the prosecution move forward when we know what those Tate brothers are all about. What are you doing? So this is going to be like more torture for the felon. But I think that what he's going to do is, like he does with a lot of things, just slow everything down. Just slow walk it. Now, I expect that life in that prison will be, as I said, very unpleasant for the Tate brothers. And I suspect the Tate brothers will put pressure on the felon to do something to help them. But you could also argue that the Tate brothers, having now been sort of caught in this net, are kind of expendable and useless now to the felon. But the Tate brothers also probably have information that the felon will not want out. So he really is between a rock and a hard place. And I think he's just going to try to ignore the whole thing and let the system grind its very slow gears, the legal system. Um, will the Tate brothers eventually be uh, extradited? Because the mountain is just a delay. It's not saying that it will never happen. It's just a delay. But I'm going to ask specifically, will these brothers um, see justice in the UK? See what we get. And I think this time I'm just going to pull three cards and see if that gives me enough information. I'm going to pull two more to give us five so that the birds are in the middle. Okay. Um, so we have clouds and we have the snake. I think this is their fate. I think they've got big trouble. They may never be free. I think that the talk about them will only ramp up instead of ramp down, and especially in light of the whole e-files thing. And I think the public will really look askance at an administration that refuses to extradite these two guys. So I think they will eventually be extradited. Um, you know, maybe I wouldn't look for it before January, though, which is when the House and Senate change hands, please God, I hope. And the felon realizes that the deck is way stacked against him. But I think until January, they should get comfortable on their cots uh, in the Florida penal system. Okay. Uh, Two more things. I wanted to look at why Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky has not yet called for a special election. He can do that. Now, of course, if he were to do that, because McConnell's nowhere, that's the context. Um, Bashir has made noises to the effect that nobody from McConnell's staff has talked to him, given him any information. He knows he's as much in the dark as anybody else is. So all he has to do is call a special election saying that the people of Kentucky deserve representation. And then what would probably happen is that the Republicans would contest any such election. But then on what grounds do they contest it? Or do they contest it on the grounds that McConnell will be back any minute? I mean, any court in the land will say, prove it. Where is he? Where's the real proof of life instead of the doctored photograph? And that would open a whole can of worms. So that's all Andy Bashir has to do. Um, he spoke about it today or yesterday, and he said, it is true that people have a right to privacy around their medical stuff. But when you run for office, you lose a little bit of that privilege, that right to privacy, and that the people of Kentucky have a right to know. But he has not. I mean, first I want to ask, why has he not done it yet? We're over a month since anybody has seen any sighting of McConnell that is, verifiable. Okay. Why has he not um, called for a special election? I think I'll use the letter that will stand for the special election, like, ballots. So, yeah, the letter will be card. Why has he not called for a special election yet? I'm looking for the letter. Okay, so this would be a special election Andy Bashir would hold in or call for in Kentucky to replace McConnell. Again, the election would be contested if he called for it, but then maybe we would get, some information. So that's there. Why has he not done it yet? So we have the scales, we have the scythe, we have the letter, which stands for special election, we have the rider, and we have the fox. Hmm. Um, he's weighing the pros and cons. He thinks he's being smart and strategic and incrementalist, by having that little interview and saying, I don't know where he is, and nobody said it. He thinks he's being incrementalist about it so that he doesn't look like, kind of a Democrat going off half-cocked, taking advantage of the poor McConnell and um, his state of indisposition, I guess we'll call it. So he thinks he's being smart and strategic. Um, but I will say, I think the decision is close. I think if this goes another week or so, Andy Bashir will call for an election. And then the Republicans are going to have to put up, meaning produce McConnell, or shut up and participate in this election. Yeah, with the scythe mirroring the rider, I think he will make a decision to call for an election very, very soon. I think the reason he hasn't done it to date is just he's trying to be, he's a politician. So he's trying to be smart, strategic, and also self-interested. Remember, he was one of the potential vice presidential picks for Kamala Harris. So his star has risen, from just the local um, Kentucky politics. And he is seen as something of a rising star. So he doesn't want to mess this up. But, as far as I'm concerned, the longer he's waiting, the more he messes it up. He looks like Merrick Garland, who can't make a decision and take action. Um, okay. The last thing I thought I would look at on this Monday is the fact that Maine has, in fact, selected the replacement for Graham Plattner in their Senate race, and the person that they've picked is another progressive, Troy Jackson. He's somebody whose name rose to the top of the pile of contenders quite fast, quite early. And so I just want to look. I know I've looked before at Susan Collins versus whoever it was, but now we know it's Troy Jackson. So I just want to pull three cards for him, three cards for Susan Collins, and I want to see who will win that seat, that Maine Senate seat. Susan Collins is dropping like a rock in popularity in her home state. Um, But then again, they've also elected her like a million times. So, all right, let's see. We'll pull three for Troy Jackson and three for Susan Collins. Okay, this is Jackson. You get the November midterm election. Who will win that Senate seat? Interesting. For Troy Jackson, we have the garden. Remember, that's my card for the public, the voter. We have the ship. So means like he moves ahead. And then we have crossroads. Now, I think what's interesting is that Susan Collins has voted a lot with the felon. She's a Democrat, but she's kind of done a Fetterman and has voted a lot with the felon. But Troy Jackson is a progressive, and so he would take Maine in a way more blue, um, social democratic, if you want to call it that, uh, path. Now, for Susan Collins, we have coffin, heart, and letter. I think the coffin tells the tale. I think she's done. She's cooked. Um, I'm sure she'll feel some type of way about it, about the fact that she doesn't get the votes. But I think the people will choose Troy Jackson. So you can mark that down as my prediction for November uh, and Maine's senatorial race. All right. So that's it for me for today. I will remind you that I will be over on Substack tomorrow writing, not reading anybody, but writing. That's where I do my weekly article. So go over there and you can see that. You can look at the past articles I've written. I've done it for years. So go check that out. Um, and then Wednesday, I will be back here, 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern, with Lena from the channel Lena Down Under. She's an Australian tarotist and sociologist, and we've been doing this for some months now, where we get together on Wednesday evening, my time, and we talk about politics and culture from an international perspective. That is a live broadcast, so um, hit the notification button so that you're notified when I do these lives. But it is every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we hope that you'll join us there. And then I'll be back here later in the week. But until then, have a great Monday, and I will see you soon.